Yo, so today what we got right here, the dumper. We are officially starting on the new project for the next few videos. Or until this thing is done, this is what we are working on. 1965 GMC 2500 3/4 ton truck. This is actually going to be my work truck, and I'm going to build it in a way that makes sense for that purpose. So in this video, what we got going on, we got a Chevy Small Block 350 for this thing. We're going to be tearing it down, rebuilding it, making it better than it ever was, and also doing quite a bit of cleaning, and we'll see where else this goes, man. Let's get into it.
And now, you're watching the Drain Plug, Spark Plug, Earplug, and Butt channel of YouTube. Welcome to BodeVision.
Hey, so what is up and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me yet again on another video, on another series really. So what we got going on, first of all, we have this Chevy Small Block, just a nice 350. See, with this truck, I kind of want to build it period correct. Yeah, I could have put an LS in it, or you can put a Cummins or do something kind of crazy. I don't necessarily want to do super crazy. I just want to make this a good truck, and a good motor, Chevy Small Block. Real good stuff. So as you can see, this thing is super dirty, really nasty, bug guts, all kinds of crap. So the first thing I want to do is get this thing clean, so that way once I start messing with it, I can start to tear it down and I'm actually working with a clean slate. Before I actually picked up the camera, I went ahead and stripped the wire harness off it. This had all kinds of factory cruise control, all kinds of stuff that we don't need with where we are going. So let's go ahead and get this thing degreased, pressure washed, and then we can start to tear it down. We got the motor pressure washed and at least sanitary to work with. I want to get the truck to the same point. So let's get it pulled over here. I want to pressure wash the engine bay because that is a mess, and also the interior. How often is it that you get to pressure wash the interior of a vehicle? But with this thing, it's pretty much all metal besides the seat. So we'll get the seat ripped out, pressure wash everything, and keep this thing moving. Now that the main supervisor got washed, that's the first time she's had a bath in a few days, believe it or not. Now that she's all clean, let's go ahead and get this motor torn down and see if we can't find any problems. I know sometimes, man, if you look for problems, you're gonna find them. So let's see what happens.
Let's go. Let's go.
Alright, so at this point I got the motor pretty well torn down and I want to do my valve seals. Now I was looking at them, they don't look really old, but I might as well do them while we are here. So what I ended up doing now, to remove valves, if you've ever done it before, I'm sure you know that there's all kinds of weird different jigs that are out there. And to be honest, I've tried a couple of them, I've used a couple of them. I've never seemed to find one that I really like. One of them that I like the most goes onto one of the rocker studs. You pull a handle down. When you pull that handle down, the leverage goes down, it compresses the spring, but that to me tweaks on that stud a lot, and I always feel a little bit uncomfortable tweaking on that stud. Another one grabs onto two studs, but then it compresses two springs at one time. Now, two studs being used with two springs is no different than one stud with one spring. So what I wanted to do is take the best of both worlds, and I just quickly whipped this up. This is just some garbage metal that I had laying around. I didn't clean it or prep it too well, but what this is a shock mount, and I use this as a pivot point. Then we have these two holes right here. These two holes are going to go right on top of those studs, those rocker studs. Let me just bolt it on so that way I can show you how it works. So we got the head right here, these two holes, pop that down. I use my nuts that are for the little rockers, 1 and 2. So now this is clamping on two different studs instead of just one. Then we have this little guy right here. This is literally a coilover spanner wrench piece that I kind of cut and messed with, and then I put it on this long bar. This long bar gives me leverage. I'll zoom out in a second once I get it all set up. So what we got going on here, we got a bolt. This bolt is going to go into there. So this comes right there, just like that. Then I put the first nut on when it's peeking through a little bit. Now this method requires quite a bit of setup, but I'll take a little bit of setup to save me struggle every single day of the week, because if you guys do valve springs, you know it's usually somewhat of a struggle, especially if you're by yourself. So that goes like that, and this guy comes right here, and then I like to lock this down so that way this isn't so loosey-goosey and I can get a little bit more torque on it. So that's the setup right there. That comes down to the spring. Let me zoom out. Take this, like this, like this, like that. And one reason why I kind of made this handle in a weird way like this, because what's going on with it. So if I'm by myself, like I am, what I can do, see, as you push this down, that valve goes down and the spring goes down. I just throw a little block of wood underneath it to prevent the valve from going down. And what I can actually do is I can use my armpit just like this, get this to go down, and then I have two hands in here. That way I can work. I can grab a magnet, pull out those keepers. Once the keepers come out, I move this out, take everything out, unbolt it. Yes, it takes a little while to unbolt it, but again, if I can save myself a little bit of time of struggle by a little bit more setup time, I will take that every single day of the week.
Let's go.
So at this point, I want to make sure that my valves are going to be seated really properly. Now this motor did run before, it was firing on all 8 cylinders. I know we're not having any problems, but I just want to clean it up while I'm here. So what I like to do is put a little bit of tape on the top of the valve and then put it in my drill and just let it spin with a little bit of valve grinding compound. being gentle with everything. You don't want to be too aggressive. But I like this process because the two surfaces that are going to be mated together get cleaned together, so I feel like this is the most efficient way to do it on a budget, and that's what we're going for. Making it a little bit better without going too over the top. Cleaning up that seal a little bit, and at this point we should be all good. So at this point, I want to start to replace some of the old worn out parts. We are definitely going to do timing chain, water pump, and we'll see what else needs to be replaced. Alright, so as you can see, we got this cleaning up really nicely for just a quick budget project. Now as you can see, or maybe cannot see, you see that 0.03, 0.030, 0.030, 0.030. So these pistons are probably oversized pistons, meaning this block has been to a machine shop before, boarded out just a little bit, got the corresponding pistons, and that was just by happen chance. I had no idea that this motor had even been worked on before. Also, we got super fresh roller lifters, real clean, real nice, no problems over there. Everything's looking good. This head is 100% ready to go. This head is already on with brand new fresh head bolts, fresh hardware. We got the water pump on there. We also have the crank pulley, harmonic balancer. Everything is looking solid, and then if you can see, the block still looks a little bit dirty, but with the style of this build and it being a work truck, I feel like let's replace everything and make everything that we're touching look really good and clean everything else along the way. Is there any reason to spend a day prepping and cleaning and making the block look nice and fresh? No, there's not, so we're not gonna do it. And I'm not gonna do it because I'm being lazy. I just feel like that fits the build a lot better. I think it looks kind of cool to have the rugged, raw, old patinaed block, but all of the components have been gone through. Everything is fresh. The heads have been rebuilt, essentially. I actually have dual valve springs in here as well, which I do not believe are factory. So the heads are built, everything's been resurfaced, everything's been resealed. We got fresh gaskets going on. Everything's been inspected. And speaking of being inspected, I wanted to look at the old oil pickup and do look at this booger weld city. If they would have had a HTP 220 Pro Pulse like what I got, they'd have been able to weld that up a lot nicer. So with that, the oil pump is probably bad because I don't like the way that the pickup was welded on there. The bottom of the oil pan was crashed up. So the oil system kind of became a can of worms because I got a brand new pan, a brand new pickup, and brand new pump. But it's all good. I guess it comes down to if you're looking for problems, you might find the problems, and then those problems have to be fixed with new parts. So spent a little bit more money on a few of these things. That's just kind of the rabbit hole that it is when you're building an engine. But I'd rather find it, figure out that it's messed up, than have it come around to bite me in the end anyways. So it is lunchtime. I'm real tired from working on this guy over here. And really quickly, I want to see how fresh. I want to see how fresh this motor is. Like, is this super fresh? Let me see. Oh yeah, let's see. Is it? Yeah. That's a fresh rebuild for sure. That's fresh.
Let's go. Let's go.
So at this point, let me give you a little update of everything we've got going on thus far. So the original transmission that came with the truck, keep in mind from factory, this is a 3/4 ton work truck. So that transmission right there being a Muncie SM420, has the granny gear in it, 4-speed. That'll be a good transmission for towing for me. I'm not too sure how it's going to be on top speed, but we will see. I am going to be running a taller tire than what the truck came from factory, so that'll give me a little bit more mile an hour, a little less torque, but that thing is a torque monster. Really, people don't even use first gear. They treat it like a 3-speed. They just go second, third, fourth. They don't even use first at all because it's that granny gear. So the transmission is looking good. We got the bell housing adapter to go from the Muncie to the Chevy Small Block. And then over there, as you can see, everything is looking good. We have the flywheel, clutch, pressure plate 100% ready to go. And as you can see, all the fresh parts on this patinaed motor. Looks really cool. We also did all of the spacing and figured out everything to make sure my throwout bearing was going to be the proper distance away from the pressure plate right there, between 100 and 150 thousandths. It turns out I actually didn't need to use any spacers at all, even though I had a decent amount of spacers. So whenever they manufactured and made this custom bell housing adapter, they actually made it land perfectly between 100 and 150 thousandths for the spacing for that hydraulic throwout bearing. All of that stuff, it's a little bit more in detail than what I get into on my videos because it's kind of like I could spend 35 minutes talking about how to properly space it. But I feel like a lot of times with my videos, I like to kind of just keep it rolling and keep it moving. So we are still waiting on some parts for the transmission. We have one line that is going to be going to the hydraulic throwout bearing that I'm waiting for. Then I can mate everything together and get it thrown into the truck for the final time. But before I do that, oh man, it's raining out here. Before I do that, I'm gonna wanna paint the engine bay, and a lot of that stuff will be in videos to come because I'm going to show you all of that stuff. And because the dumper, this is the new series, man. So let me know what you think of everything thus far. Do you like how the motor's coming along? Do you like the new project? Could your uncle do a better job? Let me know in the comment section down below. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. I'm out.